This chapter first we will discuss about this term called work. Okay, Sanvi, absolutely stop me if my writing is small or anything, right? Work. In order to understand this chapter of work, क्या वहाँ नहीं चल रहा है? Okay. In order to understand the chapter of work, you have to have basic knowledge about number one. You should know what is force. You should be clear about force. You should be clear about mass. You should be clear about displacement. ये तीन तो एकदम आपको क्लियर होना ही है. अगर यहाँ पे कोई लफड़ा है तो अभी भी पूछ लो. And you should also be clear about acceleration. And the next topic, though the topic is work, energy and power, we will have a prelim talk also about energy. क्योंकि अगर एनर्जी नहीं समझेंगे तो वर्क नहीं समझ पाएंगे. दो एनर्जी विल स्टडी लेटर. टेल मी, फोर्स क्लियर है कि नहीं? इज फोर्स क्लियर? ठीक है. मैथमेटिकली फोर्स इज इक्वल टू एफ. एफ इज लाइक फादर इज इक्वल टू मदर. ऐसे याद रख लो. मास इनटू एक्सेलरेशन. बट रिमेंबर that way of understanding force may lead you in sometimes in some problem. Remember, net force is equal to mass into net acceleration. Net force is equal to mass into net acceleration, because there, see, look what happens is that I may be pushing this board with some force on this side, and Zoe may be pushing it on the other side, but then I win the battle by exerting more force. So I am exerting 10 Newton, she is exerting 7 Newton. It's not about 10 equal to mass into acceleration. It will be 3 Newton equal to mass of this board into the acceleration gained. ये याद रखना है. ठीक है. Mass, you know, is always constant. Okay, omni, universally constant. Displacement, shortest straight line distance between 2 points where an object moves. Final position and initial position. You may actually go from Hyderabad to Delhi via Singapore, but the displacement will be the shortest straight line. Acceleration, rate of change of velocity, vector quantity. Acceleration's direction is always the direction of force, right? If I push this, as I was saying, Zoe is pushing it with 7 Newton, I am pushing it with 10 Newton. Net force is 3 Newton and acceleration would be 3 Newton divided by the mass of this board acting along this direction. Again, the directions are taken in such a way that if you are going right, we assume it to be positive. Left, we assume it negative. Upwards, we assume it positive. Downwards, we assume it negative. Now comes the talk about energy. थोड़ा सा ऐसे ही बात कर लेते हैं. बायोलॉजी से पढ़ेंगे तो भी समझ में आएगा. एनर्जी बोलने से क्या बोलते हैं? एनर्जी इज द एबिलिटी टू डू वर्क. End of the day, a machine never does work. Keep those things absolutely clear in your mind. Say suppose you have a, sorry, तेरे पास एक बॉक्स पेन है, फिर भी पेन शॉर्ट गिर रहा है क्या? तब से वो पेन के ऊपर तुम, नेहा और ये, तुम कल से ये सब नहीं लाओगे. You come with a black pen and a red pen. तब से तुम वो लिख रहे हो, दिस गर्ल इज लुकिंग इन योर कॉपी, वो वहां पे ले रहे हो, सिनेमा का पोस्टर बना रहे हो क्या? कुछ भी मतलब. ओके, सो एनर्जी इज द एबिलिटी टू डू वर्क. नाउ क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, डज आवर ड्रिल मशीन डू वर्क? नो, नो. ड्रिल मशीन इज अ मशीन व्हिच मेक्स योर वर्क इजियर. वर्क इज, इट यूजेस इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी टू कन्वर्ट इनटू मैकेनिकल एनर्जी. कट 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 करके जा रहा है. इट ओनली मेक्स योर जॉब इजियर. आपको अगर मैं हाथ से ड्रिल करने दूं, 3 इडियट वाला डेफिनेशन, मशीन हर वो चीज है जो इंसान के काम को आसान करे. मशीन इज समथिंग इन विच द एफर्ट रिक्वायर्ड शुड बी लेस देन द लोड यू आर ट्राइंग टू परफॉर्म. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे आप फलकन से उठाते हैं स्टोन को, सो यू हैव मोर लोड, you can't lift that load, so what you're doing, you're using less effort, so the lever is called a simple machine. Machine is anything, if you are expensing more effort than lifting a load, then you have designed a idiotic machine. You should have either same effort or less effort. ज़्यादा हो गया. Like for example, a pulley is such a type of a machine where effort is not reduced, but the ergonomics is better. Imagine pulling out water from the well like this. It's difficult, but if you carry it through a pulley, it's easy to pull up the water. ठीक है? तो in the language of physics, सबसे पहला चीज नोट कीजिए, फिजिक्स के लैंग्वेज में वर्क एंड एनर्जी आर सेम थिंग, दे हैव द सेम यूनिट्स, बट जस्ट टू बी इंटरप्रेटेड इन अ डिफरेंट मैनर. इफ यू हैव, शौर्या वो किताब बंद कर, यहां ध्यान दे, वो किताब पढ़ने को घर में बहुत वक्त मिलेगा. इफ यू जब पढ़ना चाहिए तब नहीं पढ़ते हो, यहां ध्यान दो. इफ यू हैव एनर्जी इन योर बॉडी देन ओनली यू कैन डू वर्क. समझो इसके कॉन्सेप्ट को. वर्क एंड एनर्जी इन फिजिक्स आर सेम थिंग, but they are just seen in a different manner. They are like they are like money and gold. अगर आपके पास पैसा है तो ही आप गोल्ड ला सकते हो. अब उल्टा भी सही है, अगर आपके पास गोल्ड है तो भी आप पैसा ला सकते हो गोल्ड को बेच के. सो इफ यू हैव एनर्जी देन यू कैन परफॉर्म वर्क. बोलते हैं ना, व्हाट हैपेंड, ओ आवर गर्ल शी इज एग्जॉस्टेड आफ्टर कमिंग फ्रॉम स्कूल, एनर्जी निकल गया, तो उस वक्त उससे काम कराएंगे तो काम करेगा? नहीं करेगा. And if you perform work on something, energy gets stored in that. Now this is difficult for you to understand. See, the first part is easy to understand. If you have energy, you can do work. Now let's say the reverse. If you perform work on a body, now question comes is, here is where is physics will start disturbing you. What is performing work on a body? यही समझना है हम इस चैप्टर में. What is performing work? But if you perform work on a body, body gets energized. For example, let's say जहां और वर्क करने के लिए आपको फिर एनर्जी चाहिए. कॉमन सेंस सोचो. द एनर्जी ऑफ दिस यूनिवर्स इज ऑलवेज कांस्टेंट. ऑल ऑफ यू नो दैट. एनर्जी कैन नाइदर बी क्रिएटेड nor be destroyed. You can only convert it from one form to the other. Now look at what I am trying to say. If you perform work on a body, the body gets energy or body gets energized. Let me give you an example. How to perform work on a body? Now the question comes, sir, you just said that you can perform work only when you have energy, right? Very good. Let's do one thing. Let me put a bucket of water and let me pull that bucket of water upwards. Don't you think I'm shelling out energy from my body? थकान होगा ना मुझे? Yeah, I'm spending energy. Where did this energy go? Now this bucket gains a height and rises at the top. Now if I put somebody right below it और इसको छोड़ देगा, फटेगा ना उसका दिमाग, right? The bucket is now energized. It has the ability to do work. That may be धड़ाम से गिरेगा तो किसी के ऊपर, like a sledgehammer it can fall. Where did it get its energy? मेरा बॉडी का एनर्जी. My muscular energy in terms of effort was done as work on that bucket to lift the bucket up. I lost energy and that energy is gained by the bucket. Will 100% energy be gained? May not be. Rope में there will be rope and all ना, थोड़ा heating भी आ जाएगा, there will be friction and other things lost. But in ideal environment, 100% energy. So we will discuss energy later. But before we start this chapter, we need to understand work and energy are interrelated items. They are interrelated. A body can perform work only when it has energy. And when you perform work on a body, now that's the part, as I was saying, you find difficult to understand. When you perform work on a body, then only the body gets energized. छोटा बच्चा नीचे बैठा रहेगा, एनर्जी नहीं है. Anything which is down उसमें एनर्जी. आप जैसे ही ऊपर उठाते हैं एनर्जी आ जाता है, तो उसको गिरने से कुछ कर सकता है, right? Say water. You have taken up water on a high overhead tank. Now allow the water to fall. As it falls, it can turn a wheel. If it turns a wheel, it can turn a generator. If it turns a generator, it can generate electricity. ठीक है? तो आइए अभी हम will go back to work and energy. So this fundamental should be there in your mind. We are now going to study this part first. What is work? ठीक है? Right. चलिए समझते हैं पहले. Now, in order to understand work, let's start with the very basic concept of what we mean by work. Let's say that you have a surface on which you have a body, right? There's a body on this surface, right? And then I drag it a little bit more this side and say a little bit more this side. Now this is the body. Now let me say this body is initially at rest. ठीक है? ये body को मैं rest में रख देता हूँ. This body is initially at rest. So this is a body. So I have to quantify the mass of this body. Let me say the mass is equal to m, and the initial velocity of this body is 0 meters per second, and let's say this is m kg. That's about right. And so u at 0 means this body is initially at rest. अब पहले एकदम आसान आसान चीजें समझेंगे. ओके, एंड लेट अ फोर्स नाउ बी एक्टेड अपॉन दिस बॉडी. ऐसे तो जाएगा नहीं, आपने पढ़ा था न्यूटन्स फर्स्ट लॉ, अ बॉडी एट रेस्ट रिमेन्स एट रेस्ट अनलेस एंड अनटिल इट इज कंपेल्ड बाय एन एक्सटर्नल फोर्स टू चेंज स्टेट ऑफ रेस्ट. तो आपने क्या किया, यहाँ पे एक फोर्स लगा दिया. सो एज ऑफ नाउ दिस इज द ओनली फोर्स एक्टिंग ऑन इट, so I can call that this is the F net, and to make it simple I am just calling that this is the force F. Okay, one more knowledge you will be requiring in this chapter, that is about scalars and vectors. Scalars and vectors. Okay, even this should be clear with you. Now let's say we are acting a, so once you give this force, your body starts to roll over and it reaches, say suppose a position out here. ये यहाँ reach कर जाता है, ठीक है, ये यहाँ reach कर जाता है, and let me say that the overall distance that the body has been, yeah, and it's in a straight line. Let's say this is S. S is the, Sanvi madam, writing is clear and legible today?
Yes.
Okay, S is the displacement. So what is the story? There is a body of mass m, and the body is acted upon initially at rest, and the body is acted upon by a force, and due to the action of the force the body gets displaced to another position. So we can say that this is the initial position S1 and this is the final position S2 of the body. Okay, so this is the displacement. Now let me first try and explain you the definition of work. Before we go to the definition, let's understand. Work is said to be done on a body. Understand? Listen to me very carefully. Work is said to be done on a body when the point of application of force. So in higher physics, later on how we will study, this whole body will be taken as a point object. ऐसे करके ले लेगा. Point of application. So here right now you can say the point of application is the center of mass. जहाँ भी है. So when the point of application of the body moves along the direction of the force. So there are three things. In order to perform work, force is essential. Number one, force is essential. A displacement is mandatory. This is also essential. This is essential. But there is a big, small, thin line. This displacement should happen along the direction. और यहाँ पे बहुत आपका लड़ाई होगा अभी देखना. Direction of the applied force. So I repeat, what is work? Work is said to be done on a body if the point of application of force, as of now think that this is the point of application, ये ball ही point of application है, moves along the direction of force, moves along the direction of force. ठीक है, this line is very very critical. Moves along the direction of force, along the direction of the applied force. अभी समझ में आएगा ये क्यों क्रिटिकल है. So I have taken a very simple example where my body is actually moving along the direction of force. इतना झमेला तो है नहीं, straight line. And how do I say it is moving along the direction of? इसलिए तो S है. If it was moving like this, then I can't call it S. I can't call it S straight away. I'm allowed to call it displacement only when it moves in a straight line. ठीक है? And mathematically, the formula for work is given as W is given as F multiplied by, now deliberately I am writing multiplied by, there's a controversy out here, by the displacement. W the symbol of work. Okay, W is the symbol of work. There will be a lot of things we need to understand here. Multiplied by force into displacement. So we say work is given by the product of force multiplied by displacement. लेकिन यहाँ हो जाएगा तुम्हारे साथ अभी पहला लाइफ का धोखा. देखो क्या है. This is work. Now tell me, what is the unit of force? What is the unit of displacement? So you will say the unit of work is Newton meter. ये गलत हो जाएगा. नहीं है. The unit of work is not Newton meter. The SI unit of work. Do you remember any unit of energy so far? You have learned it. Grade 8 में पढ़ा है calorific joules. Yeah. So the SI unit of work is joule, not Newton meter. Joule. ठीक है, इसको समझना है अभी क्यों न्यूटन मीटर करने नहीं दिया हमें. They did not allow us to make it Newton meter. Actually, it should have been Newton meter. नहीं दिया. SI unit of work is joule. So we say 1 joule of work is done on a body if a force of 1 Newton moves the body or displaces the body by a displacement of 1 meter along the direction of force. Along the direction of force. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे इस कहानी को यहीं रोकेंगे and we need to go back and now fight why not Newton meter. That we have to first see. Then we come and we will even fight on this particular thing. This is not multiply as you read. Okay, this is not the multiply as you see. अभी लिख लो, अभी हम इसको the controversy has to be solved here. चलो. In order to understand this controversy, we have to first bring out our thought process on scalars and vectors. Okay, we have to bring our thought process on scalars and vectors. Understood where I have stopped the story? My story has now stopped. Why is it not Newton meter? And I need to solve this issue also. ये वो multiply नहीं है जो आप सोच रहे हो. अब clear हो जाओ एकदम यहाँ से. So work is said to be done when the point of application of force moves along the direction of force. Work is defined as the product of force and displacement. Mind you, displacement is along the direction of force and the SI unit of work is joule. 1 joule of work is said to be done on a body if a force of 1 Newton displaces the body by a displacement of 1 meter along the direction of force.
If work is equal to energy, then energy is the same formula.
Energy should have the same unit and same formula also. We'll not use energy means now this particular body is energized by how much? 1 joule. Because you have performed work on this body.
Even once it stops moving, it still has energy.
It still has energy. See, you have applied force, otherwise it should have gone.
Yeah, but the
So there might be some spring also here. That's why you have applied force to go in this way. छोड़ दोगे तो ठक करके नहीं आएगा. बिल्कुल आएगा. It is not coming because of, so I'll write it now like this. This is 1 Newton and say if this is 1 meter, then the work done WD is equal to 1 joule. ठीक है, अब scalars and vectors में चलते हैं वापस. चलो. Now look at these two things. Okay, let's bring them. One of the fellow is force and one of the fellow is displacement. Can you classify them as scalars and vectors? What is force and what is displacement? Force is vector, displacement? Hey, displacement is vector. That's why we say from here to Delhi there can be only one displacement. You cannot have multiple displacement. Okay, so this fellow is a vector. Now though these things are taught in grade 11, आपको समझना है नहीं तो आप नहीं समझोगे. This is also a vector. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to multiply a vector with a vector. This is called vector multiplication. So let me take this force as a vector. Now I'm writing it in the vector format and displacement is also a vector. ऊपर arrow लिख देना मतलब I'm showing it as a vector format. When you write it as only F, you are only showing the magnitude part. Now I'm showing it as a vector. Understood? Now we are going to do something called vector multiplication. Vector, I'll just tell you the basic. Multiplication. Vector multiplication is not the way that you think your normal 3 into 2 is 6. Vector multiplications are of two types. The first type of multiplication is known as dot product. Dot product, also known as scalar product. And the second type of multiplication is known as cross product. Cross product, also known as vector product. देखो भाई, इतना तक लिखो और अपने आप को पूछो यहाँ तक have you understood the flow chart or not? Okay, vector multiplications are of two types: dot product and vector product, right? So I now replace these two vectors and I bring some generic vectors out here, and I say that let me assume let A be one vector and B be one vector. Any two vectors, need not be force and all. Any two vectors. Okay, any two vectors. Now, when we write a dot product, observe the word dot. This product is written like this: A dot B. A dot B. Understood? This product is written as A क्रॉस B. दोनों में बहुत फर्क है, बहुत फर्क है. A dot B and A cross. A dot B will give me something which is C, and this C is a scalar. इसीलिए इसको हम बोलते हैं स्केलर प्रोडक्ट. दो वेक्टर्स के डॉट प्रोडक्ट में आपको वेक्टर नहीं मिलेगा, आपको स्केलर मिलेगा. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. व्हाट इज एनर्जी, वेक्टर और स्केलर? How vector? Then you ask yourself, let us how scalar. Let's say energy, the energy in Jaideep is right now 200 joules. Which direction? There's no direction of energy. Energy is scalar. Now just try and understand. Energy is scalar, that means work and energy. So I told you na, this is a controversial. ये controversy को अभी हम solve करेंगे, ठीक है? Let's first understand the mathematics. This will come again in grade 12 mathematics. If you know it now properly, you can right now solve the chapter of vector algebra grade 12. यही सब है, इसलिए concept clear करो. A dot B will give you C. C is a scalar, whereas A cross B will give me a C, and this C is a vector. Understood? ये basic ज्ञान समझ में आया? Dot products give you a scalar.
Times
Cross products will give you a vector. That means when C will be born, C will have a magnitude as well as a direction. C will have both mag and C will also have direction. क्योंकि ये तो एक वेक्टर है, and here C will only have mag. ठीक है, फिर मैं इसको मिटाऊंगा इस पार्ट को. तो any question, Sanvi and Sudriti? So far we stopped our discussion here. We need to continue this further. So scalars and vectors, we say two vectors. इसमें scalar का बात ही नहीं आ रहा है. दो vector can be multiplied in two different modes. One is scalar product and one is vector product. The scalar product will give me a scalar, a vector product will give me a vector. This is the basic generic knowledge. Now let's marry this with work now. ठीक है, चलें. Okay. रवि, ये वाला, ये साइज निकाल सकता हूँ. ब्रश पेन, कोई दूसरा पेन चाहिए जो फास्ट लिखेगा? जल्दी लिख, नहीं तो फ्लो चला जाता है. एक साल बाद कॉलेज जाएगा तो क्या करेगा? और नहीं तो क्या. क्लास 11 means you're in college. You think your teachers will love you that much as they love you in grade 10? They all will think themselves as +2 teachers. Shall I rub now? ये क्या है, ये ऊपर लिख ले. वीडियो ऐसे भी हो रहा है, मिटाया मैंने ऊपर से. ठीक है, होने दे, डोंट वरी. ठीक है, हाँ रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है क्लास. Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now, instead of those two arbitrary vectors A and B, let me now take our two vectors. Force, that is a vector F, and let me take another vector, displacement. Yes, Sanvi, my control has now come to write big. Displacement is S. By default, I am writing big.
Don't fix it. Don't fix it. Later you shall.
No. So you can read it from there. Okay, force and displacement. So we'll first go for number one, which is called the scalar product of both of them. Scalar product. So let's take the scalar product. The scalar product will be F dot S. F dot S. Got it? And this should give me a scalar quantity. This scalar quantity is known as work. This is scalar. समझ में आया? So, do you authorize me now to remove this cross and write it with a dot?
Yes, sir.
Right? and I am writing it as like this: work as a scalar quantity as a dot product of two vectors, right? ठीक है? Now you will ask me, sir, when you give me a force of 2 Newton and you give me a displacement of 3, what should be the work? As of now, as kiddos, you will say 6 joule should be the work. Depends. That we will come later. Depends. ये वाला चीज भी आएगा, ठीक है? Along the direction. So scalar product. Number 2, let's see the vector product now. Vector product. Vector product में force will be made a vector product, and you get a very new thing in physics out here, which is known as torque, and torque is vector. ठीक है? Torque wrench, have you seen? If you go to a vehicle service station and you want your wheels to be open, घुसा के wii खोल के ले आता ना, that's a torque wrench. Otherwise, how you are tightening? You are tightening by your intuition. हो गया, तुमसे ज्यादा ताकतवर जो आएगा वो और थोड़ा टाइट कर देगा, ऐसे करते करते थ्रेड कट जाएगा. So if you see any machines, like if you see a car's manual, they will tell you that the front wheel should be tightened. They'll tell you 15 Newton meter torque. So you set the wrench at 15 Newton meter, वो लॉक होती है, आवाज निकाल दो उसको. Whether you do, I do, anyone does, it will tighten only up to 15 Newton meter. But in Indians we have this, ऐसे करने से thread कट जाता है. Even you have got screwdrivers now where the torque can be adjusted. After that, if you twist it, the screwdriver's shaft will just slip and rotate. Nut घूमेगा नहीं, the screw won't rotate. That's the perfect engineering way of doing jobs. ठीक है? It gives you something called torque. Now, the SI unit की बात करते हैं अभी. SI unit. The SI unit of torque is Newton meter. Satisfied? Newton multiplied by meter is Newton meter. SI unit of torque is Newton meter, whereas the SI unit of work is joule. आप समझ में आया? जूल पैदा हुआ स्केलर मल्टीप्लिकेशन से. ये आपके बुक में लक्ष्मी सिंह कहां भी पढ़ो, स्कूल में तो बताएगा भी नहीं. They will just say, it is, don't write Newton meter. Don't write it. Don't even think in your brains to write Newton meter, because if you write Newton meter, you are not doing dot product. And if you are not doing dot product, you are doing vector product. Then it's torque.
It's a dot product and cross product are different SI units.
SI, no, quantities are different. So the SI units have to be assigned differently, right? They are completely different. Torque has got a direction. अब आपको टॉर्क समझ, जैसे टॉर्क हम बोलते हैं ना, जैसे समथिंग like we will be now deviating if I go that way. Like Newton meter means, suppose there is a vector A cross B, we say A, चलो वो बड़ा हो जाएगा, आपको वो समझ, आप इतना समझो अभी. Vector product is gives you torque. So force into, in your school, if the teacher says force and this is Newton meter, no. Vector product of force and displacement is torque, and torque is in Newton meter, and torque is represented by a Greek letter called tau. ऐसे लिखते हैं. This is known as tau, T-A-U, and the representation is ऐसा लिख के ऐसा घुमा दो. This is tau.
So in school they say F dot S or it is-
Yeah, no, F dot S is absolutely correct. You can write F dot. You can, if you write F into S भी लिखोगे, but if you write this particular definition, this is the most correct, and that will come to you now. You'll appreciate it. Now we'll see scenarios. So are we fine now that why is it joule and why is it not Newton meter? This question CBSE doesn't ask, but I may ask you that if work is the product of force and displacement, why is it having a unit of joule? Work is a scalar product of these two vectors, whereas Newton meter is the SI unit attributed to torque, which is the result of the vector product of those two vectors. Clear now? चलें, अब आते हैं इसमें along the direction of applied force. बढ़िया, ठीक है. तो our job is all about scalar product. Now we should also understand how to find the scalar product. तब जाके वर्क मजा आएगा पढ़ने के लिए, ठीक है. तो हमें तो इससे ही मतलब है इस चैप्टर में, इससे मतलब नहीं है. इससे इसको देखते हैं, स्केलर प्रोडक्ट कैसे निकालते हैं, ठीक है. चलो, shall I rub this? Now little bit more on scalar product. How do you find scalar products? Let's see, how do you find scalar products? Scalar product. This is like, this chapter is like bringing an accident vehicle for an insurance inspection. बाहर से सिर्फ हेडलाइट डैमेज दिख रहा है, जैसे ही हेडलाइट खोला रिफ्लेक्टर डैमेज, रिफ्लेक्टर खोला हाउसिंग डैमेज, हाउसिंग खोला ये डैमेज. नाउ फ्रॉम हियर यू विल गो टू ट्रिगोनोमेट्री. नाउ ये तो यहीं रुका रहेगा अभी बहुत देर तक. Like sometimes they show na in Netflix and all some terrorist type serials where 2003, then they'll take a flashback again 2008 to come to this episode, maybe after 3 episodes. Let's go here again once again. Scalar product. So we are doing scalar product of two vectors a dot b. So a dot b value is given by, this is called mod of a, mod of b, and welcome to trigonometry. You first get cos theta. This is there for you also. Well,
have it in question.
you have it in your portion. ये तो मजा है, इसमें नहीं तो आप 11 में what will you do in grade 10? But the problem is this is taught in 10th grade, but in physics 9th grade it is there.
हाँ? तो physics 9 grade में पढ़ाई नहीं.
हाँ, नहीं तो इसलिए पढ़ा रहा हूँ ना.
I'm learning math and physics.
Yeah, maths and physics are only, it is CBSE is the only board which allows you to study physics without mathematics. Ask your parents. In our days we could never study physics without mathematics. Mathematics नहीं है तो physics पढ़ने नहीं देगा.
We don't learn this in math class, but we have to learn it in physics.
No, you will learn this part. This part is trigonometry. You will learn anyway in your grade 10. Like Sahib has learned all this, and your counterpart in ICSE has learned this in grade 9.
Sir, you बीच में line.
हाँ, line समझाते हैं अभी, ठीक है. So when you say line, this line means, this line stands for absolute value. Absolute value, also known as modulus. Modulus, and in short it is spoken as mod करके बात करते हैं. Absolute value. Why absolute value? See Zoe, this is a vector. This may be displacement. It may be minus 5 meter or 5 meter, right? If I go this side, I am plus 5 meter. If I am going this side, it is minus 5 meter. But when you do the multiplication, you will only take the absolute value. Absolute value means value से मतलब है, direction से मतलब नहीं. What is she saying? Positive. The scalar part. That's also the right way to understand. A vector में दो part होते हैं, एक magnitude, एक direction. Isn't the magnitude part the scalar part of the vector? बस उसी को लेना है. Right now say a force acts this side, negative force. A force acts this side, positive force. But when you say I tell you that I have got a force F which is equal to negative 5 Newton. Now if you ask me, sir, what is mod of F? Mod of F is 5 Newton. I'm only worried about the mag. Ultimately this gives only a scalar. आपने को डायरेक्शन से क्या लेना देना? Got it? So this is read as how we read it, the way we read it. Okay, how you read it. क्या करोगे यार? You are unnecessarily studying physics with a person who loves. एक मिनट रुक जा. This is read like this: mod A into mod B into cos theta. अभी तो cos theta वाला पार्ट ही नहीं हो, जैसे ये हुआ है, उसको भी तो जानना है. Absolute value means absolute value. The value. A vector, when a vector is, tell me, if you are going to the right side with a velocity of 2 meter, how will you say in physics? V equal to plus 2 meter per second. At the same time, Neha is going on the left side. What is Neha's velocity? Minus 2 meter per second. That does not mean her velocity is less. That just means that in our considered frame of reference, if you are going this side, Neha is going opposite to you. Very nicely said. Neha is going opposite to you. इसमें ये नहीं होता है कि your velocity is more, hers is less, nothing like that. When we say absolute value, then we are only, अच्छा नेहा कितने में भाग रहे हो? सर 2 मीटर. सार्थक कितने में भाग रहे हो? 2 मीटर. किस दिशा में भाग रहे हो? No मतलब. Absolute value. Even in mathematics, you will get some quantities like, suppose negative of x minus 5. Say x minus 5. इसमें आपको mod कर देगा. ये मैथ्स में आएगा आपको 11 वगैरह में. Means you have to take only the positive value of this number. हाँ, cos theta. ठीक है, दैट विल कम जोई, डोंट वरी अबाउट द फीवर दैट्स गोना कम. मॉडुलस पार्ट क्लियर हो गया. So if I tell you that this force is 5 Newton downwards and this displacement is 3 Newton downwards, so we are going to use only 5 and only 3. Now the cos theta part. Okay, let's understand what is theta. Theta is the variable for an angle. Variable for an angle. For an angle. Just like x is the variable for algebra, theta is the variable for an angle. Draw any angle to your choice and name it as theta. 30 degree लिख के theta डाल के रख दो. Theta is a variable. Cos. Now cos means, cos comes from the word cosine. Now what is cosine? What is cosine? Now in order to understand, no, not Greek word. Cosine is a ratio. This is a, don't tell it's a Greek word. It is a trigonometric ratio. This is also from Greek. See, in BC period, these priests philosophers used to sit in Greek temples. Job was nothing. They only make some theories and make generations after them suffer like you and me. Pythagoras, Aristotle, जिसको ले लो उस जमाने में बैठ के यही सब करता था, ज्ञान देता था. चलो ट्रिगोनोमेट्रिक रेशियो, तो थोड़ा ट्रिगोनोमेट्री देखते हैं अभी. नहीं तो see, if you are fine to absorb this is cosine, there are two ways for me to teach. I can leave it at here cosine and you mug up from me, this is cosine, cos means cosine, बस. बट कुछ सीखा उसमें, अपने पास टाइम है ना, तो सीखो ना अच्छा से. कोसाइन क्या होता है वो भी तो देखते हैं. ठीक है, तो अभी हम क्या करेंगे, इसको भी छोड़ देंगे. नाउ वी गो अनदर 5 years बैक. वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड लिटिल बिट ऑफ ट्रिगोनोमेट्री नाउ. ठीक है, दैट्स व्हाई नाउ आई थिंक वी नीड अ डिजिटल बोर्ड वेयर वी कैन स्कैन दिस एंड कीप इट दिस साइड एंड अगेन रीड. एनीवेज, किसी दिन एक टर्नओवर अच्छा आएगा तो एक डिजिटल बोर्ड भी लेना होगा. बट डिजिटल बोर्ड लेने से ऐसे दिस गुड थिंग इज दैट यू कैन जस्ट ड्रैग दिस थिंग. So we now go to, you write it till here, cos means cosine, and I go to trigonometry now. तो trigonometry सीखते हैं, basic. तब जाके ये समझ में आएगा, नहीं तो इसको रटोगे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर पाओगे. I will one day connect that student of mine who is in who was in CBSE till half of grade 10 and now she is in US studying AP physics. Okay, and I have told her also, she is also very, only thing is that the time has to match with her. I will one day connect her in this class. Just listen to her now when she does problems out there. Every problem is different. ऐसा नहीं है कि some Oswald books are available out there. Every problem is different. Today while doing one problem, even I got stuck up. It has some other knowledge. I mean, you are supposed to know that also. And all realistic type of knowledge. ठीक है, चलते हैं थोड़ा सा trigonometry समझते हैं. चलिए, basic trigonometry, and make a good notes of it because you will need it. Then I'll say I'll not teach it again in grade 10. Basic trigonometry. Okay, चलो basic trigonometry. So कहानी अब क्या करें, यहाँ पे आ जाते हैं और घुस जाते हैं trigonometry. सबसे पहले वर्ड बनता है 3 शब्दों से, ट्रीगोनोमेट्री. ट्री मीन्स थ्री, गोनो मीन्स एंगल, मेट्री मीन्स मेजरमेंट. 3 एंगलों का मेजरमेंट है ना. हाँ, 3 एंगल MSMT, ये जो है ट्रिगोनोमेट्री. अच्छा, ये ट्रिगोनोमेट्री आपको थोड़ा सा अच्छा लगेगा. कैसे? ये स्पेसिफिकली कोई भी दूसरा ट्राइंगल नहीं. दिस इज ओनली एप्लीकेबल फॉर, at your level it is first applicable only for right angle triangle. Who said right angle? Have you been thought about it, Bittu?
No, but
how did it strike your head then?
everything is says only right angle triangle.
No, this is typically for a applicable for a right angle triangle. पहले तो right angle triangle को समझते हैं. Right angle triangle means there is a right angle. Let's name it A. Let's name this as B, and let's name this as C. Then there is a vector resolution, वो भी पढ़ेंगे. उसके बाद यहाँ जाएंगे, 4 चीज पढ़ना है. Okay, ABC is a right angle triangle. Now this is 90 degree. The measurement is known to you. यहाँ देखो बेटा, देख के करते रहो. ये measurement आपको पता है, right? Now किसी भी एक unknown को हम थीटा मान के चलते हैं. देखो, इसको हमने थीटा मान लिया, ठीक है, इसको हमने थीटा मान लिया. यहाँ तक कोई मुश्किल है क्या, बोलो? It's only your prejudice. You have to learn it now. Why not? देखना क्या मुश्किल है. अच्छा, सबसे लॉन्गेस्ट साइड को क्या बोलते हैं? तो इसको हाइपोटेन्यूज ही नाम दे दो. हाइपोटेन्यूज. अच्छा, now comes the clash of nomenclature. If you go back to our days, we used to name the three sides of a triangle as base, perpendicular, and hypotenuse. Many foreign books still do that. But later, when I taught a girl in Pebble City in IB, not even Cambridge, I got to know a best technique, and I feel you should do that only. Perpendicular and base will confuse you sometimes. Right now you can look at this as base and this is perpendicular. इसको घुमा देगा तो कौन सा बेस है नहीं पता चलता है. ठीक है, तो आप नया टेक्निक सीखो. देखो सीखते सीखते सीखने का तो कोई एज नहीं है. थीटा ये है, ये थीटा है. थीटा ऐसे बैठ के दिख रहा है मेरे सामने वाली खिड़की पे, तो इसके सामने वाला साइड, थीटा के सामने वाला साइड, just the side bang in front of theta will be known as opposite side. ठीक है, the side right or bang opposite to theta. Now if your theta changes, the opposite side changes. What I mean to say is that if you make this as theta, then this becomes opposite side. ठीक है, the side right opposite, लिख लो, bang opposite to theta, bang opposite to theta is known as opposite side. And we are left with one more side. इसको भी नाम दे देते हैं, फिर आप कॉपी करो. इसको हम बोलते हैं adjacent side. ठीक है. So in short, अभी एक मंत्र उच्चारण करेंगे, H A and this is O. And I'll tell you perpendicular वाला also, don't worry. लेकिन ये सबसे easy रहेगा. This will never fail. Have you understood? Take a right angle triangle, take any unknown angle of your choice, name it as theta. Then the side opposite is known as opposite side. Theta की जगह आप इसको, also I told you about some quantities, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, sigma, lambda, nu, mu. These are all your new words. Third language, fourth language. ठीक है, right? Understood? Yeah, my face is so small. You're thinking, what all? Where have I landed? Crash landed. तो क्या है थोड़ा? If you are passionate with physics, then you can't leave it here. Ninth, I love ninth. I love ninth. I love 11th for mechanics. I love 12th for electricity. I like engineering first year also for mechanics. बहुत मजा आता है. मुझे बिना खिला के ऐसे पढ़ाने दो. I'll want teaching. ठीक है? Because I felt in my days no one taught me in this manner. अगर ऐसे पढ़ाता था ना तो we would have not struggled that much. ठीक है, ये समझ में आया? Right. Now let's go for some formulas. There are Bittu 3 primary trigonometric ratios. 3 primary and 3 are known as their wives or partners, as you can say. The 3 primaries are known as the ratios sine ratio, cosine ratio, and tangent ratio. And they've got a short name. है ना, शॉर्ट नेम. शॉर्ट नेम कैसा रहता है? वो कैसा है? हाँ, मधुस्मिता नाम है, मैरी. So we have to give a Mary name. The sine is known by the name of, not sin, it's called sine only. Sin नहीं बोलते, sine. Cosine is known as cos and tangent is known as tan. Okay, sine, cosine, tan. So henceforth we will not talk about sine, cosine, but in stylish books they write that the cos theta is 30, they will write cosine of the angle is 30. So style करके बोल रहा है, that means cos of that angle is 30. ये समझ में आया? Right? These are 3 ratios. Now you can take a sine of theta, you can take a cosine. Now we should know what is sine of theta, cosine of theta and all. Right? Now starts your first formula. Now you need to remember, and the rhyme is so ka Toa. This was taught to me in Pebble City by a girl. Okay, Sokatoa. Even in my college school engineering days, I have never heard of it, but this works so wonderful. Sokatoa. आपको शायद समझ में आ गया है. हाँ, sine, opposite hypotenuse, cos, adjacent hypotenuse, tan, opposite adjacent. ठीक है ना? और यहाँ पे एक लाइन ले लो और यहाँ पे ऐसे डाल दो खाली. ठीक है? Sokatoa. So can we now formulate Sokatoa? So we say sine of theta will be equal to opposite side अपॉन हाइपोटेन्यूज। तो सो हो गया साइन ऑफ थीटा। यू रिमेंबर हाउ टू दिस द वे टू रिमेंबर। सो साइन इज इक्वल टू, और ये अगर रिवाइज नहीं करोगे भूल गया सब कुछ। Cos of theta is equal to adjacent side upon hypotenuse. Got it? And tan of theta opposite side by adjacent side. कुछ और भी है, अच्छी तरह से देखो तो tan theta is nothing but again sin theta by cos theta। करके देखो तो ऑपोजिट बाय हाइपोटेन्यूज यू डिवाइड बाय दिस तो कट जाएगा। sin theta is also, sorry, tan theta is also sin upon cos. So let me write the sides now. Can I write the side? What is the opposite side for this? AB upon AC. This will be BC upon AC, and this will be AB upon BC. समझ में आया? अभी तुमको लोड लग रहा है, कितना हेल्प करेगा एक प्रॉब्लम बताऊंगा जो आज ऐसी क्वेरी करके छोड़ दूंगा, तब समझ में आएगा। राइट 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 दिस इज कोसाइन। सो इन आवर फॉर्मूला फॉर वर्क वी आर एक्चुअली डीलिंग विद दिस पार्ट cos theta. We are dealing with this part cos theta. You know how we used to remember this? In our days, they used to make us write like this. See, कहाँ लिखो? नीचे लिखना है, कमर दर्द हो जाता है झुकते झुकते। ठीक है, कहाँ पे? यहाँ पे लिखो। Hey Sanvi, can you see from here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In our days, sine used to be written as perpendicular by hypotenuse. Cos used to be written as base by hypotenuse, and tan used to be written as perpendicular by base. Means they used to call this side as perpendicular. ठीक है? This side as base, and hypotenuse over the years have written hypotenuse. Now look how we used to remember. Like this girl taught me Sokatoa. In our days, the rhyme was what, you know? Some people have curly brown hair turned permanently black. Some people have curly brown hair turned permanently black. Then I understood there's one more formula. पंडित बद्री प्रसाद हर हर बोले, बाकी लोग सोना चांदी तोले। इसका भी फॉर्मूला है, बट यू नो गोइंग बाय परपेंडिकुलर एंड ऑल इन सम सिनेरियोज इन ग्रेड 10 you will get confused. So the best way is now even CBSE has started adopting this thing, Sokatoa. Sokatoa will never fail. Whatever orientation I give you, if you know theta, you know the opposite side. But you see, Aparna, if you see this, you feel that it is a perpendicular. इसको थोड़ा घुमा के ऐसे कर देने से कैसे पता चलेगा कौन बेस है कौन परपेंडिकुलर है? गॉट द पॉइंट? ठीक है, चले। ओके, since you have understood now what is cosine, cosine is actually a trigonometric ratio which tells you about the adjacent side by hypotenuse. I told you there are 6 trigonometric ratios. I won't go on the 3 now. These 3 have got 3 wives also. Sine's wife is cosec, cos's wife is sec, and tan's wife is cot. They are reciprocal of them. Cosec is 1 upon sine, sec is 1 upon cos, and cot is 1 upon tan. वो 10 में करेंगे, इतना नहीं। ठीक है, तो अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज cos, कहाँ से वो where this cos comes. Very good. Can I rub this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see the various type of combinations you can have. If you have a 90 here, you can have a 45-45. You can have a 30-60. Again 60-30 swapped. ठीक है, समझ में आया? Now इसको मिटाते हैं और एक और चीज अभी जानना है। ग्रेड 9 में अगर हमें स्कोर करना है अच्छी तरह से एनी बुक ऑफ फिजिक्स से, so some values we should be able to know. So let's say theta in grade 9, your theta will have values like 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree.
How can it be zero?
Yeah, zero is also zero is assumption. When it becomes zero, this becomes that you'll for that we'll take it to grade 10. Don't worry. So write down the value of cos theta. Cos theta means here it is cos 0. Are you understanding? Cos 0, sin 0, so all this should be memorized. Sin 0, 0, cos 0, 1. Sin 30 half, cos 30, root 3 by 2. Cos 45, 1 upon root 2. Cos 60 is half. And this is 1, this is 0. Ye aapko,
I don't understand anything what you're saying.
these are the values of cos. Did you remember that triangle, the theta?
Yes.
If the theta is 30 degree, then the cos of that is root 3 by 2. ऐसा है देखो. Suppose मान लो, say this is the 30 degree angle. Got it? Don't you think this is also 30 degree?
Yes.
Don't you think this is also 30 degree? Same ही तो है. And cos is the ratio of this particular side by this. This ratio, whatever way you make, will always come as root 3 by 2. This is what trigonometry mathematicians deduced for a right angle triangle. So, are you getting it? Go back to Greece now and make a right angle triangle this small. This will have some measurement and this will have some measurement, provided you make it always 30 degree. Say the smallest that we made was, this is root 3 and this is 2. Have you understood?
Oh, the length.
Length. So cos of 30 is root 3 by 2. Now our friend Sarthak says मैं थोड़ा और बड़ा एक ट्रायंगल बनाऊंगा और 30 डिग्री मेंटेन करूंगा. तो उसने एक ट्रायंगल बनाया 2 root 3 और इसको बना दिया 4. पॉसिबल है ना? तुमने जस्ट एनलार्ज किया. So the ratio still remains root 3 by 2. And then somebody says, no, I will make it 100 root 3. Please make it, no issues. Then this should be made how much? 200. Otherwise, you cannot make a triangle with 30 degree, 60 degree and 90 degree. 30. Acha, have you seen your set square in your geometry box? You get two type of set square. कभी उसमें ध्यान दिया? One set square is a 90, 45, 45, which is the triangle that you get. And one you get is a 60, 30, 90. ऐसा एक लंबा मिलता है ना? That's a 60, 30, 90. Now, if you and you must have seen woodwork in your house when woodwork was going on. These carpenters, when they first get the plywood, they will make one triangle sort of a thing. First thing they will make that. Have you observed? Otherwise, how is the carpenter able to, without any radio, without any ultrasound, इतना सीधा कैसे निकाल देता है? उसको ये सब कुछ नहीं पता. Next time you see woodwork going on in a house, you just tell that carpenter, आपका वो त्रिकोण वो दिखाइए तो, उसके पास एक रहेगा ऐसा. This is the first thing he will make. He will say, इसको ना ऐसे ऐसे काट के. That is basically a 60, 30, 90 set square he has made. And that helps him. He will put the set square here to see सीधा हो रहा है कि नहीं. L cut मारना है. How do you know that? Have you seen one device which has got a scale on this side and another scale on this side? That's called a right angle T scale. No, exactly like this, but with carpenters, they'll have that. आपको कट मारने का होगा ना, so ऐसे कट का. How do they know perpendicular हुआ कि नहीं? How was this finished exactly as perpendicular? This question should come to your mind now. When he cut that piece of wood, how did he ensure it is exactly L? That tool. Got it? 60, 30, 90. So 60, 30, 90 में these values we should remember, and your problem in physics in grade 9 will be involving this particular value, this value 95% number of times. They will say that because see, now you go back to your definition. What is work? Work is said to be the scalar product of F dot S, and F dot S is given by mod of F mod of S cos theta. अभी हमने तो सिर्फ cos theta समझा, but we did understand what is theta in this expression. We need to understand that also. Right, let's understand that now. Say suppose you have a vector A in this manner and another vector B in this manner, and they have an angle that is making an angle of theta. At that time, if I ask you, find the dot product of A dot B. So how will you find out? You will take the value of A You will take the value of B and you will take cos of theta. Now you all are very kiddos, so they will give you 30, 40. Now you may ask me, sir, can't this be 27? Of course. Sir, then how do I know what is cos 27? For that, trigonometric tables are available, or if you are in Cambridge and all, you get scientific calculator. You have to press cos 30 and get the value. But in your case of CBSE, they will be giving you only values. So you should know cos 0 is always 1, cos 90. This also you should know. This you should know for certain cases. मजेदार cases आएंगे. ये भी सभी जानना चाहिए. सब कोई सर्कल मार लो क्या? इसलिए तो लिखा. These four will be actually coming for you. Children generally are able to remember this and this. ये दोनों में घपला कर लेते हैं. तो घपला नहीं होना चाहिए. So in our case, we will replace A and B because our vectors are F vector and S vector. So this is F modulus of S into cos theta. But as the class comes to an end, something should strike your head. I always said that the displacement should be along the direction of force. यहाँ तो वो हो ही नहीं रहा है. फोर्स किस साइड में जा रहा है? डिस्प्लेसमेंट किधर हो रहा है? यहाँ वर्क कैसे आ रहा है फिर? अच्छा सर, ऐसा सिनारियो ही नहीं होता. ये सब मिटा दूं अभी छोड़ने से पहले बढ़िया सा एग्जांपल दिखाता हूं और आपको मजा आ जाएगा. See the example and then you should fall in love in physics with this example. Let's take the childhood of Zoe, okay? And Zoe is a very nagging child. Okay? Nagging child. So as a nagging child, Zoe's mom bought for Zoe a toy car. Okay? Bought for Zoe a toy car. This is the toy car. Okay? And our Zoe is actually out here. Right? How is she pulling the toy? This way. The F is in this direction. Zoe is happy. Right? She is happy. But if you observe, नहीं, अभी physics समझो ना. अभी इसका physics समझो. अभी आप physics समझो. But the displacement of the toy is happening in this direction. ये चीज समझाने के लिए मैंने आपके साथ इतना पापड़ बेला. Do you mean to say that Zoe will not get tired by pulling this toy after some time? Of course, भारी होगा. That means she is losing energy. Something must be gaining energy. This will be gaining energy. So she is doing work. But you, sir, defined that work is said to be done when the point of application of force moves along the direction of force. Where is the force being applied? On the car. The force is in this direction. You should have moved in this direction.
No, it's pulling it up, so the force is moving in this.
No, not in the same direction. How is it moving in the same direction? Same direction means, look at this particular diagram. That's why I said this is a very kiddo nice diagram. And this is like a billiard ball. मेरे क्लास में ना फ्रीडम है. अगर आपको बोर लग जाता है ना, मैं तहे दिल से बोल रहा हूँ, बुरा मत मानिए. आपको अगर 5 मिनट, it's like a Waldorf class. He will know. If you think that some part you are not getting interest or something, आप balcony में जाना चाहते हैं, मैं नहीं डांटूंगा. पर this is like theater. If you are seated on the front seat, do not have the mobile on. In my class, do not chit chat. And you all are, look at it. It is not good. You are opening. When I talk, I need silence in the class. आप chain खोल रहे हैं, बंद कर रहे हैं, उसको भर रहे हैं, खटा. She is medically not fit. He is not fit. They cough. That is separate. We can't help it. But जो noises avoidable है, उसको avoid करके चलते हैं ना. You what right in this world you have? Why every time it comes to you, Sarthak? अभी तो मुझे ही शर्म लगता है. What right you have to disturb others? If others are also not enjoying, at least I am enjoying. What right you have? You are free to go to the balcony. There is a television in this room with Netflix enabled. Remote है. On करके देख, फैन चला के, मुझे कोई आपत्ति नहीं है. बाद में आके पढ़ना चाहता है पढ़, रिकॉर्डिंग भी हो रहा है. लेकिन क्लास को तो डिस्टर्ब मत कर. वो भी मैं खत्म करने वाला हूँ. आई एम डिस्कसिंग समथिंग, दिस गर्ल इज आर्गुइंग विथ मी ऑन समथिंग, दिस सच अ नाइस आर्ग्यूमेंट, दैट गर्ल इज ट्राइंग टू पुट सम ऑफ हर व्यूज. You all are busy खड़ाप खड़ूप कर रहे हो. So this scenario, Zoe, what we are trying to say, look at this scenario here. If you're giving the force in this direction, this is like a snooker board, billiard board. My force is in this direction, the ball is also going in this direction.
There the force is also in that.
No. Do you pull? You have got a pet dog with your house. How do you pull the pet? Generally, man never takes the dog for a walk as per physics. Dog takes the man for a walk. सोच के देखो.
The toy car, pulling the toy car.
Which side are you pulling? There is the toy car. Just see.
They're pulling it this way, it's moving this way.
Am I pulling the toy car like this? Do you pull the toy car like this? Does it make sense now? Okay. Well, I would write it like this. Our Zoe loves to lie on the ground like this and with both the hands like this. Do you bring the toy like this? Now are you understanding what is the scenario I'm trying to say? I'll stop here. This is something that we have to answer now. Work तो यहाँ भी हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है? इसको समझने के लिए हमने theta, and that theta which you are getting is basically this angle between the force vector and the displacement vector.
Work is like scalar. So
Scalar
it
product.
matters, like,
It does matter. The definition says that the work is said to be done when the point of application of force. That's why I first thing wrote this. Moves along the direction of force. So there should be either some displacement happening. देखो इसमें work होने का एक ही रास्ता है. Either there is some displacement happening in this direction, which your eyes are unable to see. Obviously, there is no. You don't see the toy climbing up like this. Or there is some force in this direction. ऐसे सोचो. Gravity is the working this way.
yes, that's why I want to work.
Still not getting it. Either there is a displacement happening here to justify work, or there is a displacement happening here, or there is a force acting in this direction to justify work. What is it? We will reveal in next class. There has to be. नहीं तो नहीं होगा ना. Otherwise, where is this work? Work says for work to happen, force and displacement must be like this. Force and displacement must be like this. अभी ऐसा है, कैसे होगा? नहीं होगा. या तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट को यहां ले जाओ, ऐसा तो है नहीं, या फिर फोर्स. तो सेकेंड वाला क्राइटेरिया ही होगा. यही ब्यूटी है फिजिक्स का. Morning when a child is taken to the bus stand, the mom and dad pull the child like this. Mom is pulling this way. Where is the child going? सीधा. समझ में आ रहा है? ये इसलिए बता रहा हूं. Don't think that displacement always happens in the direction you see force. My mom was pulling me this way. My dad is pulling me this way early morning to the bus stand. Did I go this way? Did I go this way? I went this way. Not cancelling. There will be components. There are some cousins of this force whom we will reveal. And they are silently working in this direction. Otherwise, how is work done? ठीक है? चले तो इतना वीडियो देख के आइएगा, तभी जाके आपको अगला क्लास समझ में आएगा.